So my screen is visible, right? I'm opening my paint screen. Let me know if you are able to see my paint screen. Yes, visible. So today's chapter is exception handling. Okay, very important chapter and very detailed sort of chapter this is. So this chapter has lots of bullet points which we need to cover. Okay, so I'll mention the bullet points over here. Let me know. Are you able to see my screen? So I'm on the notepad plus plus, right? So first is the definition of exception handling. Okay. Then second is the built-in class hierarchy in exception handling. So I'll call it now EH. Okay. Okay. Then third, Java's natural reaction. Okay, so you can say immediate response when an exception occurs. So what is Java's immediate response? Okay, so when you see a snake in the room, what is your immediate response? You try to vacate the room, right? If a fire breaks out in a room, what is your immediate response? You try to evacuate that room, right? So what is Java's immediate natural stimuli when an exception occurs? Okay. Then we have categories of exception, very important. Structure of exception handling. Okay. Multiple catch blocks. Default exception handling. Handling multiple exceptions in single catch. Okay. Then you have nested try. Then you have finally block. Then you have difference between final, finally, and finalize. Then you have try with resources. Then you have user defined exception. Then you have throw keyword. Okay. Then you have throws keyword. Then you have difference between throw, throws, and throwable. Okay. exception delegation. Then you have uh, global exception handler. Global exception handler. Okay. Then you have, okay, interview questions on exception handler. So a very detailed sort of chapter and a very important chapter in the Java domain. In fact, any programming language has a chapter on exception handling. So if you can cover these topics thoroughly, then in the interview you can be very confident about exception handling. So if the interview asks you question on exception handling, you should be able to answer all those questions very comfortably. Okay, so let's take it slow and steady. So let's take the first bullet point, definition. As I complete a point, I'll put a done over here. Okay, so by the end of this chapter we should have completed all these 19 bullet points. So let's start with the first point. So what is the dictionary meaning of exception? What is the dictionary meaning of exception? Okay, where do we use exception in our day-to-day communication? Yes. In which sense do we use the keyword exception? Yes, guys. Like, can you give me example? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Okay. Accept. So the exception will be less or more. So if there are 22 students, will 20 be the exception or will 2 be the exception? If we are 22 students in the class, the two which you don't wish to invite, there'll be 2 or there'll be 20. Exceptions, the people who are exempted, will their count be less, or those who are invited their count will be less? Exempted, those who are exempted, right? See, if you do, I got your point. So what he's trying to say is he wants to exclude, right? He's actually trying to say that I will exclude. So I will say, he will say, he will make an announcement in the class, all are invited for my birthday at my residence except Alice and Ben, right? So if there are 22 students in the class, how many are invited? 20 are invited, and who are not invited? These are exception students, right? So, and you also have exceptional case also, exceptional case. So we can say all the students are average in studies except Alice and Ben. Now means all the students are average, but who are not average, who are good in academics, right? So the count of the exceptions are always less, right? So the reason why we are studying this in our software engineering is, if I ask you to fill a form, in that I ask you to enter age. Okay, let's say I am doing some registration or some survey I am doing, and I ask you multiple details: name, address, mobile, blah blah blah, which city you are from, like this. So you are registering for your college website or some website. In that, one of the tab is you need to enter your age. So if 100 people have registered, how many people have registered? 100 people have registered. I expect more than 90, or you can say more than 95, that they will enter the age as an integer value, like this: 17, 23, blah blah blah. These 5% exceptional cases might end up entering their name or their age as a string value. So who was 16 might enter like this. So the count of those people who will enter their age as a string, they are in majority or minority? And all the exceptional cases are always in minority, correct? So for the 90 people or the 95 people who have entered the value as an integer, on in my program I had taken an integer variable to store their age. So can I store 23 in age? Yes or no? Can I store this 17 into int age? Can I store 29 into age? But now can I store 16 in this int age? So this will lead to an exception. This will lead to an, can you guys tell me? Somebody be with me? Exception. So exception you can define as in 3 or 4 sentences. Definition. So do you want the user to enter such a value, or you do not want to enter such a value? Wanted or unwanted? So first point, it is an unwanted or unexpected event. Okay. Now my application is running, right? It is on the server. People are registering, means application is in the development phase, or it is in the running production phase, live phase. This application which is now hosted, is it in the development stage or is it into the live stage? Live means production. Live means what? Production means live. It is on production. So the WhatsApp we are using, the Gmail we are using from which server? The prod server. Okay. So when will this exception occur? When the application is in the compile time or it is in the run time? Yes, always remember, exceptions will always occur in runtime. Errors will occur at compile time. Second point, occurring at occurring at runtime. And now the normal flow of the program will be disturbed. Disturbing the normal flow of program execution. So in these three sentences, you can describe what is a exception. So what is an exception? If asked, what will you tell? Yes, yes, guys, tell me. Not error, not error. Error is different. Exception is different. So cricket is different. Football is different. Okay. So you will not say. Uh, you will say cricket is a sport played outdoors between two teams having 11 players each. You will not say cricket is a football played outside, played outdoors. So cricket is a sport, or is cricket is a football. So Pepsodent is a toothpaste, or Pepsodent is a Colgate. Normally people associate toothpaste with the brand, with the product itself, right? So you might be using some different brand of toothpaste, but they will always address as toothpaste, as Colgate. So errors are totally different. So you cannot say exception is a error. So errors and exceptions are two different things. First remember that. Errors are different and exceptions are different. Football is different, cricket is different. You will not say cricket is a football played outdoors with two teams having 11 players each. Will you say that? So saying exception is an error means you are merging both the competitors into one. Football is football and cricket is cricket. They both fall under the category of sport. So what will you say? Cricket is a sport or cricket is a football? Yes. So these two, they both come from throwable. They come from where? So how many children does throwable have? How many children does the throwable class have? Namely, so is it making any sense saying exception is an error? Technically, is it correct? It is not correct. So do not say exception is an error. It is an unwanted event occurring at, and when the exception occurs, the normal flow of the program is disturbed. If not handled, the application will crash. Will crash mean application will shut down. So if you have a exception and you have not written any code to handle the exception, what will that exception lead to? Application will crash. Okay. Okay, let me give you a real world example of an exception. Okay. So let's say a person leaves from his home at 8 a.m. to report to office at 9 a.m. Okay. What time does he leave from home? And what is his reporting time? Okay. So at 8:30, where is he or she? So is he on run time or is he on compile time? When he is still at home, means the application has not run. So at 7:45, where is the bike? At 7:45, where is the bike? At home. So that is called as compile time. That is called as where application is in where compile time. 8 o'clock application started running. So 8:30, where is he? Compile time or runtime? And then you have a flat tire. What you have? I will call it flat tire exception. So all the exceptions, they end with the keyword exception. So I will call it what? What do you have? Now fit all of these three on this. So is it a wanted or an unwanted event? Do you want the tire get punctured very frequently? Unwanted event. When did it occur? Run time. Now will he reach office on time as usual? No, his normal routine will be disturbed. Okay, had the exception occurred at 7:45, at 7:45 if he would have known that the tire is flat, he would have taken an alternative route, might have taken a bus or metro or a different bike. Yes or no? So if at compile time that issue was recognized, that would be error. So error was spotted. But when the application is at run time, then whatever unwanted event occurs is called as an exception. Okay, so we at times in our lab we are given a program, we compile for the first time, it shows us 15 errors, and we are under pressure, like I'm getting 15 errors, then we write some to do some troubleshooting, it shows 3 errors, now we are happy, okay, error has reduced, then we again do some more troubleshooting, and then you get 0 errors. So now you are happy, now we have 0 errors, and now the program is running. So just getting 0 errors and when the program starts running, is the job completed? No. At runtime also there are threats. At runtimes also there is a threat of what? Exceptions occurring. Okay, so there might be another exception, traffic jam exception. So it is an unwanted event occurring at runtime, disturbing. At 7:45 he would have known that traffic jam is there. He would have called his boss and told, due to traffic congestion, I'll be working from home today, right? And he would have joined on time at 9 a.m. But when did he realize the traffic jam? At run time. Okay, so then the police will come and try to sort out the traffic jam, right? So exceptions will be handled, some measures will be taken to handle the. So whatever measures we take to handle that exception is called as exception. So what steps we take to come out of the exception? The steps taken to recover from the exception is known as, tell me, exception handling. Is that making sense? Is the definition clear, guys? All good? So should I mark it as done now? Okay. Now in Java, which is the super grandparent class? So all the classes inherit from object, right? So object is the super grandparent class. Okay, and we had noted classes. How would you denote classes? As red color rounded rectangle, right? Black color sharp edge was interface, correct? So which class is there? Object. So this is the Adam class. All the classes inherit from object. So this object, so one son of Adam went to China, so all the descendants of that son are the Chinese. So they have a particular skin color, they have a particular hair texture, they have eyes are at a particular shape. Okay, so one son went to, let's say, Europe, so those guys have a different skin color, different eye color, different accent. One son went to South Africa, so they have a different skin color. So like this, each continent one son went, and from that son, that continent got populated. Similarly, for each chapter there is one class which is the head of that chapter. So you can think of object as the principal, and we have multiple departments. So we have HOD. So in the department of exception handling, the HOD is which class? Tell me. Which class? So throwable extends from object. Now this throwable has two children. Who are they? Error and. So we are focused towards what in this chapter? Exception. So we are focused more towards the exception. So now how will we find the lineage of exception? Exception inherits from and throwable extends from. Okay. Now this exception has also further childs. One of its child is runtime exception. This we are doing which bullet point? What are we doing? Built-in class hierarchy in exception handling. So now this exception now has many childs. One of the child is runtime exception. Okay, and other exceptions also it has. Let me mark them with a different color. Okay, so we have class not found exception, IO exception, SQL exception, blah blah blah. There are other exceptions also. They directly inherit from this class. Okay, so which are they? So if we observe the pattern, each of the exception classes end with which keyword? Ends with the keyword exception. Very good. And the runtime also extends from. Now there are many classes which inherit from the runtime exception. So arithmetic exception is one of them. Okay. Number format exception, input mismatch exception. There are many. Okay, the list goes on and on. There are hundreds of exceptions. Hundreds of inbuilt exceptions are there. Each chapter will have its own set of exceptions. we have index out of bound exception. Which one? And now this index out of bound also has two children. Array index out of bound, string index out of bound. So this is the entire hierarchy. This is the entire hierarchy. Okay. You know how we would teach the hierarchy of the different emperors. So these are all inheriting from which class? Now why have I color coded this? Why have I color coded this in red and the other classes in orange? Is the reason behind that. Okay, you will come to know the reason. So which is this? This is array index out of bounds exception and string index out of bound exception. Okay, so this is your hierarchy classes. So can you tell me the hierarchy of this string index out of bounds till the object? Yes? Yes? So this is called as the hierarchy of built-in exception classes. What is this called as? Hierarchy of built-in exception classes. So you have lots and lots of exception classes built in. Every chapter will have its own exception handling classes. Okay. So if you are trying to do Java database connectivity, JDBC, it will have its own exception classes. Okay, if you are doing servlets, JSP, so that will have its own exception classes. Every chapter has its some exception classes. So it would not be wrong if you would say that there are more than 100 plus exception classes. Might be more also built in. Okay, predefined. So these are your exception classes. Okay, so you can go to the internet and you can see for yourself if you wish to. So exception hierarchy in Java, exception hierarchy in Java. And go to images and pick anyone. Okay, so let's check this image. Okay, you see throwable object, exceptions, error, exception, and blah blah blah. Okay, like this. We have even given a more detailed compared to the other. So once you practice, you'll understand the hierarchy. This also is done. Okay. Now we come up with a third thing. So if there is a hot pan and by mistake you touch that hot pan, what do? Do you keep your hand over there, or immediately the brain will send a signal to the hand that please remove it? So that is your immediate reaction, or you can call it as an instant stimuli. Okay, so the instantly you will get a stimulation from the brain that please remove your hand. Similarly, if you see some wild animal approaching, your brain will send a signal, please change direction and run in the opposite direction. So what happens when I am doing programming? So I do one step, I do second step, and then an exception occurs. So when an exception occurs, I have two ways. I can handle it, or if I do not handle. So all this while were we handling the exceptions, or were we handling the exceptions all this while, guys? Yes, no, maybe. Well, am I audible to y'all? So step 1 was fine. Step, yeah, okay, line 1 was okay. Line 2 also of the program was okay. At line 3, exception occurred. Something occurred. At line 3, what happened? Exception occurred. Now, once the exception occurs, you have two ways. You handle it, handle the exception, or if you don't handle the exception, what happens? So what Java does if you don't handle the exception? So try to no, there's a series of steps. Try to understand that. Okay. So what happens? Step 1. Java will identify. Okay. When does this exception occur? Arithmetic exception. If I try to do any arithmetic miscalculation, like if I am doing dividing, and if I put the denominator as 0, what is the answer for this? What is 10 divided by 0? Is, is it any number? So it will lead to which exception? This will lead to arithmetic exception. Okay. Input mismatch exception. The example which I gave you. If I have taken a variable as age, okay, and I ask the user SOP, enter age. So by what type of value am I expecting the user to enter? Integer, right? So after seeing this message, the user enters 16. Now can I store this 16 into this sc dot? Can I store this 16 into sc dot next int? So it will throw which exception? Okay. Now we have three types of strings. Three types of strings. Okay. What is this? This is a numeric string. What is this? This is an alphanumeric string. And what is this? This is a alphabetic string. So what is this? Numeric string, correct? What is this? Alphanumeric string. And what is this? Alphabetic string. So if I try to take a numeric string and convert into integer, it will allow me. Okay, it will allow me if I try to convert this into an integer. Okay, so if I say integer dot pass int, okay, and I pass this string to it, it will convert into an integer, and it will store in the LHS variable integer n1. But if I try to pass the other two strings into an integer, it will throw which exception? Number. So if I say 1 2 3 apple, it will throw which exception? Number format. If I try to convert an apple into a integer, what will it throw? Number format. If I have an array of length 2, so how many indexes do I have in this array? So if my first number is 10, second number is 20, and this is my array of size 2. Okay, so I have, so can I say ARR of index 2 equals to 100? Can I write this? Will this array have index 2? Will an array of size 2 have index 2? So we'll throw the exception. Okay, so internally, based on the situation, the appropriate exception will be thrown. Okay, so let's say at line number 3, I was trying to do this 10 divided by 0. What was I trying to do at line number 3? So exception occurred. So first thing, Java will identify to which exception, or I would rather say to which built-in exception class the exception belongs. So which exception class does this belong to? Tell me. If I try to write 10 divided by 0, will it throw an exception? So first thing, Java will identify to which exception class this exception belongs. Which one? So identified which class? Arithmetic exception, correct? Then second thing, it will create an object of that class. It will, this is all happening behind this. Okay, this is all happening by Java internally. This is all done by JVM internally. So I will not have to do. I'm just telling you what Java does. What is Java's immediate reaction? Second thing, what Java will do, it will do what? Create an object of the class. So which class object will it create? Which class object will it create? Exception class. So it will make object of which class? So new arithmetic exception. And third thing, it will throw the object. Third thing, what will it do? Throw the object. So it will be. So in first step, it identified the class. Second step, made the object, and in the third step, throw new arithmetic exception. Okay. So these three phases it will work in. Phase one will be identify the class. Second phase, make object of that class, and third phase, throw the. Now that object can be caught or cannot be caught. Okay. So rather I should have taken this over here. I should have taken this over here. And should have put this into a line number 3. This happened. So what happened at line number 3? I said integer result equals to 10 divided by 0. So what happened over here? What happened over here? Did the exception occur or not? So what happened at over here? Exception occurred, correct? So as the exception occurred, what did Java do behind the scenes? What did Java do behind the scenes, guys? Mhm. Mhm. अब जब ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो हुआ तो अगर आपके पास मैं एक बॉल थ्रो करता हूं तो आपके पास कितने ऑप्शन है? ऑप्शन है कैच करने का या ड्रॉप करने का, है ना? तो जब ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो हुआ तो मेरे पास दो ऑप्शन है, क्या? तो उसको कैच करूं या ड्रॉप करूं, है ना? अगर मैं कैच कर लेता हूं तो क्या होगा, और अगर मैं ड्रॉप कर देता हूं तो क्या होगा, वो अपने को देखना है। तो अब तक हम लोग क्या करते बैठे थे अब तक? डू यू नो हाउ टू कैच इट? डिड वी नो हाउ टू कैच a exception all this while? Today is our which session? Today is our 13th session, right, of Java? 12th session. So for the past 11 sessions, did you all know how to catch an exception? Yes or no? अरे भाई हमने आज चैप्टर शुरू किया ना, तो पिछले 11 दिनों से आपको मालूम था कि कैसे कैच करते हैं एक्सेप्शन को? आप कैच कर रहे थे क्या ड्रॉप कर रहे थे पिछले 11 दिनों से? तो जब ड्रॉप करते तो क्या होता है, सबसे पहले क्या होता है कि एप्लीकेशन विल क्रैश लैंड, मतलब डायरेक्ट टर्मिनेट हो जाएगा एप्लीकेशन, जहां पर था वहीं से क्रैश लैंड करेगा डायरेक्ट। तो अगर प्लेन 30,000 स्क्वायर फुट के अल्टीट्यूड पे उड़ रहा है, क्रैश लैंडिंग मीन्स डायरेक्ट जीरो पे आता है ना, तो मतलब विल शट डाउन, एप्लीकेशन विल डू व्हाट, शट डाउन। ये फर्स्ट काम करेगा, जहां भी एक्सेप्शन आया, आप उसने ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो किया और उसको कैच नहीं किया, पहला काम वो करेगा शट डाउन कर देगा एप्लीकेशन, ठीक है? यानी उसके आगे जाएगा ही नहीं। तो अगर लाइन नंबर 4, 5, 6 थे, विल दे एग्जीक्यूट? विल लाइन नंबर 4, 5, 6 एग्जीक्यूट? तो जहां एक्सेप्शन आ गया वहीं क्रैश लैंड कर दिया ना उसने। तो लाइन नंबर 4, लाइन नंबर 5, इवन दो दे ओके, इवन दो ये लाइंस ओके है, सब कुछ ओके है, बट ये एग्जीक्यूट होंगे क्या नहीं होंगे? नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि एप्लीकेशन ने क्रैश लैंड कर दिया है। और दूसरा, द ऑब्जेक्ट जो उसने थ्रो किया है ना ऊपर, विल स्पिल ऑन द कंसोल। तो जो उसने ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो किया है वो कंसोल पे पूरा फट जाएगा ऑब्जेक्ट आके, और फिर वो आपको बताएगा कि कौन से लाइन पे एक्सेप्शन था, कौन से क्लास में एक्सेप्शन था, क्लास के कौन से मेथड में एक्सेप्शन था, मेथड के कौन से लाइन पे एक्सेप्शन था, एक्सेप्शन का एरर मैसेज दिखा देगा। तो अगर अरिथमेटिक एक्सेप्शन है तो बता देगा कि भाई डिवाइड बाय 0 हुआ है, तो बोल देगा, अगर आपकी क्लास होगी तब, जो आपकी क्लास थी टेस्ट क्लास, तो बोलेगा क्लास टेस्ट में मेथड आपका बोल देगा, मेन मेथड में लाइन नंबर 3 में ये एक्सेप्शन आया है, डिवाइड बाय 0, ठीक है? तो वो एक्सेप्शन का फुल्ली क्वालिफाइड नेम बता देगा। ये सब एक्सेप्शन यूटिल पैकेज में है। कौन से पैकेज में सारे एक्सेप्शन? कौन से पैकेज में है भाई? यूटिल। तो अरिथमेटिक एक्सेप्शन का फुल्ली क्वालिफाइड नेम क्या हुआ? अरिथमेटिक एक्सेप्शन का फुल्ली क्वालिफाइड नेम क्या हुआ? java.util.arithmetic exception। क्या हुआ? तो कौन सा एक्सेप्शन, उसका फुल्ली क्वालिफाइड नेम बता देगा आपको, पूरा डिटेल में बता देगा कि भैया एक्सेप्शन आया है। और हर एक्सेप्शन का एक मैसेज भी होता है, तो मैसेज भी डिस्प्ले कर देगा आपको। तो ये सब चीज़ें वो कर देगा कहाँ पर? कंसोल के ऊपर। कहाँ कर देगा ये? ठीक है। और अगर आपने कैच कर लिया है तो फिर प्रोग्राम कंटिन्यूज एग्जीक्यूशन, तो फिर ये सब नहीं होता है। तो प्रोग्राम क्रैश लैंड नहीं करता है, प्रोग्राम कंटिन्यूज विद द फर्दर एग्जीक्यूशन, अगर आपने कैच कर लिया है तो। अब कौन इसको समराइज कर देगा फटाफट जल्दी से? स्टार्ट से जावा का नेचुरल रिएक्शन क्या है व्हेन एन एक्सेप्शन अकर्स, बोलो। तो कैच करने को बोलते हैं हैंडल द एक्सेप्शन। कैच करने को क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग? बस वो कैच करना मतलब हैंडल कर लिया एक्सेप्शन। जो हैंडल कर लेते हैं तो प्रोग्राम आगे कंटिन्यू करता है। और ड्रॉप करने को क्या बोलते हैं? एक्सेप्शन हैंडल नहीं हुआ, ठीक है। तो ये पूरा डायग्राम था। अब बताओ, इसको समरी करके बताओ, कौन करेगा स्टार्ट से अपने वर्ड में? ठीक है, मैं करता हूँ एक बार रिकैप, फिर तुम लोग देखना। जब मैंने 5 लाइन का कोड लिखा, उसमें लाइन नंबर 1 वॉज ओके, 2 वॉज ओके, 1 पे एक्सेप्शन नहीं आया, 2 पे एक्सेप्शन नहीं आया, 3 पे इशू आ गया, तो उधर आ गया एक्सेप्शन अकर्ड। तो वो देखेगा कि पहले ये एक्सेप्शन कौन से वजह से आया है। तो विच क्लास डज दिस बिलोंग टू एक्सेप्शन, लाइन नंबर 3, लाइन नंबर 3, राइट, लाइन नंबर 3 है ना ये, लाइन नंबर 2 ये था, बोलो भाई। 10 / 2। तो जावा क्या करेगा बिहाइंड द सीन्स? जो मैंने लिखा है ग्रीन के अंदर, जो मैंने ग्रीन में लिखा है वो बोलो। फर्स्ट व्हाट विल इट डू? आइडेंटिफाई टू विच क्लास दिस एक्सेप्शन बिलोंग्स। अगर मैं लाइन नंबर 3 पे लिखता ऐसा, इंटीजर ARR ऑफ 2 इक्वल्स टू न्यू ARR, ओके, लेट्स से अगर लाइन नंबर 1 पे ये कोड होता, ये कोड ओके है, बोलो भाई। और फिर लाइन नंबर 2 पे लिखता मैं ARR ऑफ 0 इक्वल्स टू 100, ओके है, ओके। फिर लाइन नंबर 3 पे लिखता ARR ऑफ 2 इक्वल्स टू 200, ये कोड ओके है, यस और नो? नो। तो there would be exception occurred, correct? So Java would search in this vast library of exceptions. So which exception do you think would occur? It would show. Yes, in this case, which exception? So Java would shortlist ये इंडेक्शन, ये किसका इंडेक्स किसका है? array index out of bounds exception का एक्सेप्शन है। तो क्लास को शॉर्टलिस्ट कर लिया उसने। सेकेंड स्टेप में क्या करेगा, बोलो? उसका ऑब्जेक्ट बनाएगा। और थर्ड स्टेप में क्या करेगा? तो हमेशा थ्रो क्या होता है, क्लास क्या ऑब्जेक्ट? एक्सेप्शन हैंडलिंग में थ्रो क्या होता है, क्लास थ्रो होती है कि ऑब्जेक्ट? हाँ हाँ, रिमेंबर ऑब्जेक्ट इज थ्रोन। ओके, अब वो ऑब्जेक्ट थ्रो हो गया, तो मैंने अगर इसको कैच नहीं किया तो ऑब्जेक्ट क्या हो जाएगा? तो ड्रॉप होने का सिंबल मतलब क्या है, व्हाट इज द साइन की ऑब्जेक्ट ड्रॉप हो गया है? Immediately. Will it display line number 4? So at line number 4, if I had written SOP high, will it display me high? No. And what will happen on the console then? What will happen on the console? Huh? And what will it display me on the console? After spelling, what will it show me on the console? Okay, and in which class the exception occurred? तो अगर ये सारा कोड मैंने लिखा है क्लास टेस्ट में, सारा कोड कहाँ लिखा है मैंने? क्लास टेस्ट में। क्लास टेस्ट के कौन से मेथड में? मेन में। और कौन से लाइन पे आया एक्सेप्शन अभी, वो सब डिटेल बता देगा मुझे। और एक्सेप्शन का मैसेज भी, और एक्सेप्शन का फुल्ली क्वालिफाइड नेम भी। समझ में आ रहा है? ये है जावा का नेचुरल स्टिमुलाई व्हेन एन एक्सेप्शन occurs. Understood? So I'm marking them all as done. Okay, so ये भी डन हो गया। Okay, so I'll stop the recording over